What's up, everyone? This is the SBS Report, the Cornell Sports Business Society's new radio show. We have not been on in 3 weeks, so we are back. This is show number 6. We are in the Oldman Cornelius Studios in College Town, and I'm joined tonight by Noah Tannenbaum. Noah, what's going on with you?
Not much. Happy to be back. Back-to-back hosts, even though we had a bit of a break.
Bit of a break, for sure, but we have a ton of great stuff to get into. Over the last few days, a lot has gone down in sports. Baseball, basketball, football, so definitely going to be a good show today. Let's start off with some breaking news. Actually, you want to do some scores?
Let's do some scores. Catch everybody up.
Let's go with some scores from today, the day that was in the NFL. Starting with the 1 o'clock games, the Dolphins topped the Jaguars 27-13. The defense, Miami defense was huge in fantasy for me.
For me too. Huge day.
2 TDs.
My new strategy is to spot start whoever's playing the Jaguars.
That's what I've done the last few weeks, and it's worked out pretty well.
Blake Bortles leads the league in picks.
The Vikes beat the Bucs 19-13 in OT in one of the worst games of the season. The Chiefs beat the Rams at home 34-17. The Pats blew out the Bears 51-23. The Bears look horrible as of late.
I'm ready to say Jay Cutler's bad. Like, not just like average, straight up bad.
And he got paid this offseason with the weapons that he has now with Marshall, Jeffrey, Bennett, Forte. They should not be this bad.
Matt Forte, though, carrying the load for their team and Team Tannenbaum in fantasy.
The Texans topped the Titans 30-16. The Seahawks won 13-9 in Carolina off a game-winning drive from Russell Wilson. The Bengals barely beat the Ravens 27-24 at home. The Lions topped the Falcons this morning from Wembley Stadium in England 22-21 on a game-winning field goal by Matt Prater. The Browns, and now with the 4 o'clock games currently in progress, the Browns are up on the Raiders 16-6. The Steelers are up 32-34 heading into the fourth. The Colts were down big in that, so that's a one-possession game now. And 2 5-1 teams, the Cardinals and the Eagles, are tied up at 17 with 9:01 left in the fourth. Tonight, Sunday Night Football, we got Saints and Packers. Tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, we have Cowboys and Redskins. So definitely been an exciting week so far in the NFL, and we'll talk more about that later on. But let's get into something from Friday. Definitely one of the most shocking news of even though it's not the offseason yet, but definitely some shocking managerial news. It was announced that Joe Madden would leave the Tampa Bay Rays after being there for a while. And apparently he had a stipulation in his contract that he was unaware of, that when the president, GM, whatever, Andrew Friedman was for the Tampa Bay Rays, he left for the Dodgers a couple of weeks back. So apparently an executive on the Rays told Madden that he had this option in his contract that he had not known of, and he decided to exercise it. He knew that him and Friedman were really tight, and immediately right when it was announced that Madden would be stepping away from the Rays, everyone was making the connections. Is he going to go to the Dodgers? Are they going to drop Mattingly? So there are definitely a bunch of potential suitors. The Cubs seem like the early favorite. So, Noah, what do you think about this whole Madden situation?
Before we get into where Madden's going to end up, I think it's important to note that this is the end of the Rays, right? Where everybody said for years that the Rays were the up-and-coming team. They were going to rule the AL East. Andrew Friedman was a great mind. Joe Madden was a great manager. And as a Yankee fan, I think we escaped the Friedman-Madden era. One World Series appearance, 2 AL East championships. I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely is interesting. We're going to see where Madden goes. Everybody speculated he would go to the Dodgers, like you said, but they extended Mattingly. My personal take is that he takes a year off. Managing in the MLB is a stressful job. You have no summer off. You have no nothing. I would take a year off if I were him. Just like hang back, kick it, and then wait for the Dodgers job to open up, because it's sort of inevitable that if the Dodgers don't pretty much win the World Series next year, then Mattingly's gone. I think a lot of people agree on that, and the Dodger job is said to be his. He and Friedman team up again.
Last season, before the Dodgers went on that ridiculous run mid-season, Mattingly, had they lost a couple more games, Mattingly would have probably been fired then. So it's not like Mattingly's job is that secure regardless. So
no job in LA is secure, pretty much for any team. But
exactly.
Especially Mattingly made some weird moves. I think we spoke about it on the last show. He benched Puig in one of the playoff games, which is weird. He's your best player. You don't bench him no matter what. And Mattingly just might not be a great manager. There are a lot of personalities in that locker room. It's tough to manage the Dodgers. High expectations every single year with a huge payroll. But he might, like, as a Yankee fan, I'm happy we don't have him. Like, realistically, I didn't want him as a manager. So maybe he's just not that good.
I mean, yeah. I'm not necessarily sure if he's 100% going to say that, but he's definitely evaluating his options right now. He's going to be seeking top dollar. I think Socha is the highest paid manager in the league. He's making, like, I think it's around in the range of 5-year, 25, 30 million. So
sounds right.
Yeah, so Madden, and to me, he absolutely deserves that kind of money, but he's gotten the absolute most out of his play. I mean, he's had to deal with, like, one of the lowest payrolls in the league over the last few years, and he's really maximized their talent year after year after year. That team should not be achieving, like, they should not, quite frankly, they shouldn't have not made the World Series. Like, year after year, that team just overachieves, and just Madden squeezed the absolute most out of his players. So, to me,
you never want to play a Joe Madden coach team.
100%. 100%. To me, Madden's up there with, in terms of the best managers in the league, you have to think guys like Francona, Bochy, Showalter, Madden. I mean, he's definitely up there.
I think it's an insult to Francona and Bochy and those guys to put Showalter and Madden in. I think you need to win a World Series to be one of the best managers. I know it's hard to win World Series. Very, very few teams do it. You see a lot of the same teams repeat. But I think that has to be the main focus. If you're going to be listing top managers, you need a title. I wouldn't say Mike Matheny's a top manager, but he has titles, you know?
No, he does not as a coach. What's his face? La Russa left last time they won the World Series. Right after.
Oh, you're right.
So he's made the NLCS year every single year, but he went to one World Series last year. This is his second or third year.
Third. I thought it was his fourth. The year.
This is just because I remember when we were seniors in high school, it was when the last time the Cardinals won.
Oh, true.
So that makes sense. So yeah, 3 years, 3 NLCSs is still very, very impressive. But like, yeah, he's young, so he's definitely up there. But going back to Madden, he's far and away the hottest commodity of any manager in recent memory. And to just think about, like, the only coaching vacancy, the head managerial vacancy right now is with the Minnesota Twins.
He's not going to the Twins.
If he were to leave the Rays, there's no way he'd go to the Twins. And after Ron Gardner left, so. The Cubs. What's the name of their manager right now?
Ricky Renteria.
Well, yeah, last year was his first year. I mean, they have a lot of good young pieces. There was a sports.
The Cubs are about 2 years away. They need a pitcher, but they could hit.
They need pitching. A lot of pitching. Theo Epstein has that team on the right track. They do have the best farm system in baseball. A ton of good young hitters.
Theo Epstein doesn't get enough credit. What he did with the Red Sox, what he's doing with the Cubs. Yeah. He's a brilliant, brilliant baseball mind.
Exactly. And the position that Andrew Friedman now has with the Dodgers is pretty much modeled after what Theo Epstein does with the Cubs right now. And I'm sure he's going hard after Joe Madden. He'll probably give he'll probably try to lure him in that he'll probably give him like some more authority over personnel decisions. He has a GM there in Jed Hoyer, but like if you wanted to get him, if they wanted to have a realistic shot at Madden, they'd have to give him some perks such as more personnel authority.
And
but like
Madden Epstein combo is scary.
They're
just a brilliant mind.
I mean, let's think of their hitting. They got from that Smarter trade. They got Addison Russell, who was one of the best young hitting prospects in baseball. Javier Baez. They still have Starlin, who could be traded. I think he's overrated.
Yeah.
Anthony Rizzo had a breakout year last year.
He had 30 homers.
So he was like 32 and 85. He made the All-Star game, so he still, I think, was 25, 26. So he's going to be a good first baseman for them for a long time.
When was the last time a power hitting second baseman came up, like in Javi Baez? That you just don't see that.
Was it Cano?
Yeah, but even then he wasn't seen as Baez is a 35 homer projected guy.
I mean, there aren't that many of them right now in the league.
I know.
What do you think? Like Ian Kinsler? I don't.
When I was looking at Javi Baez coming up, I could have sworn he was a left fielder or a catcher. You just don't see hard hitting second baseman come through the league.
I mean, he exploded onto the scene. He was red hot in the begining of the year. But
I think he hit his first pitch as a homer. He's definitely in his first at bat.
I mean, yeah, he got off to an extremely hot start. He cooled down considerably, but he definitely is going to be there for a long time. Of course, your boy Big Cat loves him some Javi Baez. So
all the Yabos in Chicago with Big Cat.
Yeah, I mean, so Joe Madden. I mean, to me, it's either he's not going to the Dodgers. One team that I'm a Yankee fan, so I don't really care, but. What are the Mets doing with Terry Collins? He's a horrible manager. If they were, they have the money in New York. why? I mean, ownership is horrible with the Wilpons. They need to sell the team already, but I mean, Bud Selig hasn't really allowed them to do so. But
the Wilpons will not spend.
If I were Met fans,
we know many Met fans
yelling at management. Why wouldn't you go after a guy like Madden? He's an excellent manager. This team,
he hates the Yankees. Madden hates the Yankees.
Exactly. So they have outstanding young pitching. One of the best farm systems in baseball. You have Harvey coming back. You have some pretty good young pieces in the lineup that they still have a pretty low payroll, so they have to spend a little more. I mean, you're giving Madden some money to spend and max it with the pitching that they have. Like they could become a powerhouse if they were to get a guy like Madden and get a couple more batters.
The Wilpons think a big offseason move is bringing in the fences once again.
Oh
that's their move for the offseason. They're done. They had to pay a contractor due to that. You know, contractors cost money. They don't like spending money, and that's really their offseason.
And then you have like Matt fans saying, "Oh, it was Bernie Madoff." I mean, that was like 5-6 years ago. You guys, shut up. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation. They're terrible owners. They don't want to spend any money. Terry Collins is probably the worst manager in baseball. He's horrible. They have so much pitching.
Real bad.
They have to turn one of those arms into a bat. You just would have to think so. DeGrom, Harvey, Wheeler.
Yeah.
They're Syndergaard coming up. Yeah. Those are probably the best young arms in baseball. Yeah. It's unbelievable. So you would think they have to turn one into a bat, but if I'm a hitter, I don't want to go play at Citi Field.
No.
You can't hit homers at Citi Field.
It killed Jason Bay. Maybe killed his career.
Horrible.
So, I mean...
people criticize the Yankees for building a tiny field. Like,
whose fault is that for? I mean, you can fit more fans. You can hit more home runs. Like, it's
people want to play where they can hit homers. And Robinson Cano, for as great of a year as he had,
what do you have, like 10 homers?
He hit, I think, 330. But he had 12 homers and about 75 RBIs. Yeah. That's the best you could do at Safeco. These huge fields will become irrelevant.
And his power numbers are not going to be much. I mean, how long? He's long there for like another 9 years. So don't expect Robbie to hit more than maybe 20 ever again. Mm-hmm. So let's move on from that onto the World Series, one of the few parts of the MLB season that are actually somewhat exciting. So far, this World Series has been...
It's been
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very, very competitive. Each of the games, I mean, last one ended up being a blowout by the final score, but like early on, the first like 4 or 5 innings were very, very exciting. So like going into the series, I thought this had all the makings of like an 07 Rockies Red Sox?
07 Rockies Red Sox, where the Rockies rode a miracle run in and ran into a buzzsaw. The Red Sox were really the best team in baseball.
I mean, I thought this was the same thing. I thought, I mean, obviously the Giants with all the experience that they have had, third World Series appearance in 5 years. I mean, Posey has never lost a playoff series.
Yeah.
I mean,
and a guy like Pablo Sandoval will literally be napping until the playoffs.
Playoff times, and something just turns on with that whole team. Bruce Bochy, just incredible manager, especially in the postseason. So, Ned Yost is
Yost gonna Yost.
Yost is is this fair to say? Ned Yost is a bad manager.
The fact that he hasn't been fired during these playoffs is startling.
He's a bad manager, and I mean the Royals have a ton of good young players, but like they're getting the absolute most out of the team. The chemistry is incredible. The defense and the bullpen. Lorenzo Cain.
They finally got to the bullpen last night.
Lorenzo Cain legitimately makes 1 to 2 diving plays every game. It's crazy.
And Dyson made a diving catch last night. They have all these stud defensive players. Eric Hosmer was a number 3 pick in the 2008 draft. Was terrible for most of his career, and finally is coming on. And he's a fun guy to watch. Moustakas is a fun guy to watch.
Moustakas was one of the top prospects in baseball for a long time, and he was horrible this season. He had batted like 200 again, so he hasn't panned out. Alex Gordon's a stud. But
he's also the weirdest stat. He's hitting 180 in the World Series with 11 RBI.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what the Royals do. Yeah. Get on base and run like hell.
Couldn't have said it any better. I mean, arguably their best hitter, he hasn't even been able to play in these last couple games in San Fran, Billy Butler. So, I don't know how they're doing it. Tonight's a huge game. Madison Bumgarner looks like, to me, I mean, throughout the season, I was saying that he's has to be mentioned amongst like the top 5-10 best starters in baseball. And then this postseason, he's just been sensational.
You can't get to him. He's unbelievable. He goes 8 innings with 2 or less earned runs every single start. You could book him for that. And the opponent tonight, James Shields, will go about 4 innings in 6 earned runs.
Big game James,
who is not
big game James. Okay, let's say James Shields. Big game James Worthy, not James Shields.
Well, supposedly, in his defense, he was a big James Worthy fan growing up and took the nickname from that way.
Did he grow up in LA?
I'm not sure, but that's what I heard. And then the other story I heard is that he was like awesome in Little League and college in big games, and so they gave him Big Game James, and it sort of stuck. But I think like there has to be a vote. Maybe like Matt and I will lead this vote to once you have a nickname that doesn't fit you anymore, you got to get rid of the nickname. He cannot be Big Game James anymore. I refuse to call him that.
What are some others nicknames that don't? I'm trying to think of somebody that was like fat or something that just became like really thin and just the fat jokes had to stop. I don't know. I can't. When Pablo Sandoval
Panda is the best.
He lost a ton of. I think it was a couple seasons. He like came in like looking like a normal size.
And then they put it all back on.
But like there were some things like he can't be called Kung Fu. He's not like a panda anymore. But like,
well, if you go the other way, the hefty lefty Jared Lorenzen. I don't know if you've seen him recently. He is the heftier lefty. He is huge. And the Pillsbury Throwboy. That was my favorite nickname for him. I'm a big Jared Lorenzen fan, and he was on the Giants. He always tells people to kiss the ring. He's a big fat guy. He has the ring.
David Tyree got in the ring, and that's all that matters. He can talk whatever he wants to say. He has the ring. That's all that matters. And he was Eli's number 2, not a third string.
He was the backup, and he could bomb the ball.
He could
bomb the ball.
Couldn't move much, but he could throw it.
Well, he was. I think everybody saw him. He returned to fame last April when he was playing in some pretty much rec league in Nashville and broke his leg, and then his career ended again. But now I think he's on the Kentucky coaching staff. He's always on the sideline during the games. He might just be the number 1 fan, but he's always there.
All right, so let's give our predictions for tonight and the rest of the series. So we have Bumgarner and Shields, the same matchup as it was in Game 1. I thought that Bochy should have allowed Bumgarner to pitch last night in Game 4 in what really was a must-win game because I just honestly don't trust Vogelsong that much. But
and he got rocked.
They got the win. They finally got to the Royals bullpen. So you gotta go. To me, you gotta go Bumgarner and the Giants.
I said before the series started that if the Royals lost Game 1, that one of 2 things would happen. That the wheels could completely fall off, that once their miracle run was over, they hadn't lost a game, that they could just fall apart and get swept. So I was very impressed by Games 2 and 3. And then I said if they don't, they can go on and win the series in 6, only losing to Bumgarner. So my prediction was thrown off last night when they lost, but I think they lose to Bumgarner tonight, like relatively convincingly, probably 4-0, 5-0 by the time he leaves the game, and he might even pitch 9. And then they go on to win Game 5 and 6. Or 6 and 7.
There's not going to be a short lease on Bumgarner tonight. This is going to be his last start of the season, regardless of the final outcome of the series. And he's fresh. He's on normal rest. You got to think that as long as he doesn't get blown out of the waters by the Royals, you got to think he's going to go deep into this game, especially with the amount of innings the Giants bullpen has pitched. So, I mean, to me, even
the Giants bullpen looked like the Royals bullpen last night.
This is a must-win for the Royals, in my opinion. I mean, I can see that. I can realistically say somehow, some way, the Royals find a way to get to Bumgarner tonight. I can see that they have that championship pedigree. I can see them winning 2 games in Kansas City, but I cannot. If Casey's down 3-2, I don't think they can win 2 against the Giants. To me, this is a must-win for the Royals, but regardless, huge game in the series. That's going to be starting right when we're done at 8. So obviously going to watch that one tonight, and I'm sure a lot of you will too.
That is my viewing priority over Saints
Sunday Night
Packers.
Football. We'll see how my fantasy matchup is, and I do have a little bit of ton of work, so we'll see where that goes. So let's move on to basketball. So. I think it was Thursday. A report came out that it was announced that Steve Nash would miss the entire season with.
What did he get hurt?
It's a moving luggage.
Right?
He hurt his back. He played early in the preseason, looked decent, seemed fresh, but they held him out of practice in preseason games for precautionary reasons because he was in an airport. He was pulling some sort of luggage and he pulled something, and then turned out that it was he's had some chronic nerve issues, and ever since he broke his leg in his first season as a Laker, I think it's actually Stephen Lillard who broke his leg. So ever since then, he's had some nerve issues, and he just hasn't ever since he's joined LA, he just has not looked like the same guy that we've grown accustomed to seeing him in Phoenix. So
everybody I think we're going to talk about this in a second, but everybody blames Kobe for the Lakers' troubles. They should blame David Stern for the Lakers' troubles.
I don't want to get into this. For our listeners, I'm a Laker fan, but if you want to, I was referring to the decision by David Stern a few years back to veto the Chris Paul to LA trade. I think it was Pau Gasol was in that trade. I think he was going to Houston or something.
It was a 3-way.
Lamar Odom was in that trade too, and then let's go. But Lamar Odom was never the same player after that. He was coming off a 6 Man of the Year award, and he was one of, if not the best guys off the bench in the league. Extremely versatile, critical part of their back-to-back titles. And then David Stern. I've never. There's one other time that I've seen a trade veto. I think it was involving like Tyson Chandler, like 6-7 years ago. I think there's normally if that happens, if a player fails their physical or something, but. They were owned at the time by the league.
That was the sketchy part.
It was like for competitive balance. Some of it was like they don't want Chris Paul to move from like a small market relatively small market in New Orleans to the biggest market in the country in LA, and then obviously a few months later he ended up with the Clippers, and the Clippers are where they are now, and the rest is history. So. Yes, David Stern absolutely, positively destroyed the Lakers. They're not going to be good for a long time, and it's a shame. Dwight Howard, with the whole Dwight Howard situation, we could have seen a team right now with Dwight, Chris Paul, and Kobe. Who would have known? Maybe Kobe never would have gotten hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to tell him that would be.
It's a scary proposition, but now in the present, I am excited for this Kobe. This is an angry Kobe with a bad team. With a bad team and a coach that he approved of, because, he doesn't approve of many.
He played with him.
I think Kobe is going to tear the league apart. We have this, everybody knows that Kobe was recently ranked number 40 by ESPN in their player rankings preseason. Joke. And it's really astonishing. It's Kobe Bryant. He has 5 titles. He's the most prolific scorer of the generation. First ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the best players ever. And for him to be ranked 40 on any list is astonishing.
He didn't play all of last season, which is, he came back too early from one of the worst injuries a professional athlete can really suffer in a torn Achilles tendon, and he came back early. It was a freak. He suffered a freak injury. He continued to play. He fractured a part of his knee, and he played the rest of the game against the Grizzlies, and they won that game in Memphis. So.
Nobody can knock Kobe's toughness.
You will never ever see a guy play through the injury. He's played with numerous broken fingers. After he blew out his Achilles a couple years ago, he was one of, if not the best players in the league. He was averaging like 28, 5, and 5. He was the best shooting guard in the league. Made all NBA first team. To see him right after he blew it, you knew something was wrong, and he took those 2 free throw attempts right after. Just his will to win is greater than any player. It's only comparable to MJ's. Those two are just
really the closest thing you can. My thing is, and we spoke about this a little pre-show, if the Lakers start 2-4 and they have no real chemistry or whatever, does he say to Byron Scott, yo, coach, by the way, I'm going to try to win the scoring title. I'm going to take 40 shots a game and drop 29? I think that's a realistic thing, where I would love if Kobe won the scoring title this year. It would be awesome.
I think
they're not a good team.
We're forgetting that one. I think... So let's throw around some names for the score. You got your Durant, who might not. I don't think he's gonna be able to qualify by the time he gets back.
I think you need 55 games, maybe more.
I don't know exactly.
You should need a certain
maybe it's a certain number of shots. Because Tyson Chandler, that was field goal percentage. Yeah. Sorry, but
I think Durant will be eligible. I think it's games played. So I think Durant will be eligible. He's supposed to come back by hopefully end of November. I think that's what I saw.
That's roughly around. How many games do they play a month? Like 10, like 12 to 16,
something like that
range. So it's possible that he might not be able to qualify. And he said that he's going to take his time with this injury. So to me, it really depends on where OKC is at the time, which I think they're going to be horrible until they get back. But Carmelo's he's basically admitted that he's not winning the scoring title playing his first year in Phil's triangle.
Nope.
Fish's triangle. But
Phil's triangle.
The one other guy that we're forgetting is Russell Westbrook. I think
He's licking his chops.
let me say something. Okay, people. To me, this is what when Peyton Manning went down with his neck injury a couple years for Indy. People were talking. Oh, they're still gonna make a team. They're the Colts. They've been good for so long. They still might make the play. To me, this is the same exact situation.
No,
OKC is gonna suck. There's no other way of saying it. The West is stacked. This is. In terms of, if you want to look at NBA history, there might never be a time where a conference is as good as the Western Conference is right now.
Sorry, I'm going to go back to this for a second. We just got fact-checked by one of our loyal listeners. A player must appear in at least 70 games or score at least 1,400 points to be eligible for the scoring title.
So KT probably will not, unless he gets to 1,400, which... I mean, he scored 2,000 points many times, a few times.
I think it's possible.
I don't think he will. But
back to the Thunder. I think you're vehemently wrong.
I don't know. I mean, who do they have? Anthony Morrow. Their prime free agent acquisition. Anthony Morrow is also out for at least a month. So,
the fact that Anthony Morrow is still in the NBA and considered anybody's prime free agent acquisition is pretty crazy.
He's a great shooter, though.
But I think Westbrook is gonna go off and have one of those unbelievable runs. And by the time Durant's gonna get back, he's gonna be willing to pass the ball and distribute some shots because he'll be all shot out.
Are you crazy?
That's my bold prediction.
I don't know about that. I do not know about that. I mean, to me, it's well, we just got that same loyal fact checker just sent us a message saying that KD is going to be fresh by the playoffs. But I'm going to tell you right now, OKC's not making the playoffs.
All right, Matt.
OKC's not. They're going to be horrible. You need to understand that Serge Ibaka and Russell Westbrook are not by themselves are not good enough to take a team to the Western Conference. To me, I mean, if Durant comes back and plays 60 games, they'll be fine. But
Russell Westbrook's a top 10 NBA.
They will not be a 500 team in the West without Kevin Durant.
Yes.
They will not.
Russell Westbrook is one of the best players in the NBA, and nobody gives him enough credit because he's crazy. He has a horrible field goal percentage. He takes too many shots. He is an unbelievable talent. They're gonna go over 500 no matter what. Serge Ibaka is one of the best big men in the league. I just refuse to believe that they won't. And Scott Brooks is a great coach. People forget that.
Oh, don't get me. I'm not gonna talk about this. Scott Brooks is.
A lot of people don't like Scott Brooks.
When you're playing a 40-year-old Derek Fisher, is that his fault?
That's the front office's fault. They have nobody else.
I don't know about that. Sam Presti's really. I mean, he goofed. He made a horrible decision with Harden. The only person left that trade is Jeremy Lamb.
Yeah.
They traded
Jeremy Lamb was great in college.
They basically traded Jason Harden.
James Harden.
James Harden, the best two-guard in the league right now, who can't play defense, but the best offensive two-guard in the league right now, for 1 year of Kevin Martin and Jeremy Lamb and Steven Adams.
All because they didn't want to go over the luxury tax, and they might not have gone over anyway.
You got to be kidding me.
It's on.
They would have. I think they would have won the title in the 2 years.
I mean, they turned James Harden, who is one of the best two guards in the league, if not the best two guard in the league.
Let me say something.
So that's why I think Scott Brooks gets unnecessary blame.
They have 2 years left. They have 2 years left of Durant. If they don't win,
no way Durant stays.
If they don't win a title in these next 2 years, Durant is gone.
Even if they do win a title, which they won't.
Sam Presti's gone. Scott Brooks is gone. So, to me, and Katie has said that he's not rushing back. And this is the first major injury that he suffered in his NBA career. He's been extremely durable. Westbrook has not. So, I don't know. I don't know if Westbrook can handle a low. I think Ibaka will absolutely step up.
Quick question before we move on.
Monster numbers, but I don't know. I really don't.
Where do Durant and Westbrook go in the next 2 years?
Durant's going to the Wizards.
I agree.
Westbrook's a free agent the year after.
Westbrook's going to Lakers for sure.
He has 3 more years.
Yeah. Westbrook is going
I don't know. When Durant's gone, I don't know how Westbrook's going to survive. I think he's just going to put up like 30, 34. He's going to put up 30 a game with Durant gone. Easy. At 40, 45 field goal percentage, chalking up 25, 30 shots a game. Easy. Yeah. So let's go back to those rankings. Those same rankings that we were talking about predicted that KD was currently, with his injury, number 8 in the league, and Kobe was number 40. Those are the same. They have Iguodala at like 35, and The main thing with Kobe being at 40 is that he didn't play last year, but Derrick Rose is at like 20 and he hasn't played in 2. I don't get that rationale.
As a basketball fan, I am terrified that Derrick Rose is going to go up for a dunk in his first game and land, and just like his knees will just break. Like he might land on like his hip just because he won't have any legs left. I want Derrick Rose. I want a competitive Derrick Rose because I would love a Bulls Cavs Eastern Conference Finals just dueling it out. It would be like 08, 09.
They're playing on Friday.
Celtics Cavs.
They're playing on Friday night, so it's definitely gonna be an awesome one early on.
There are more storylines I think for this NBA season than there have been in a long time.
Oh, 100%.
LeBron's return, Rose's return. Who's gonna win the West? I think we're in for a treat of an NBA season.
Absolutely, 100% about that. But so on ESPN's First Take on Friday, they actually had this debate I
can't believe you watched First Take.
Going back to Nash. No, I actually saw this on Twitter, and it was a fun question to me. But so as a Laker fan, after watching Nash play on Phoenix, kill us in Phoenix all those years, I hate Steve Nash. I hate Steve. I mean, it comes to Lakers doing absolutely nothing.
I have no sympathy for you as a Laker fan in any aspect of your fandom.
None. Hate Steve Nash, but they had a debate on First Take, and it was all over Twitter. Not just people just talking about it all over Twitter. So, who's the better? I mean, Allen Iverson tweeted right after he tweeted this thing saying, "Congrats to Steve. It sucks that he couldn't go on his own terms, but he's one of the best to ever do it." He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, Steve Nash. Both of them are, but who had the better career, Nash or Iverson?
Stats or hardware wise, you have to think Nash. Wasn't Nash a 3-time MVP?
2, back to back.
Back to back. Okay.
Iverson is 1.
If you're asking me who I want to take on my team in their prime, I want AI. I've always had a bias for AI. He's just awesome to watch. He was 5'11" and the most dominant player on the court every time. He shot an awesome percentage. He made other people better, and he could pull up from anywhere on the court. Nash needs to be surrounded by other other people who can actually put the ball, like not scorers, but people who could get the ball in the basket. AI led a Sixers team in 2000 to the finals by himself.
0-1
by himself. That team had no other talent, and he went toe to toe with the Lakers in their.
You want to tell you some other the next best 2 players in that team were?
Go for it.
Dikembe Mutombo.
No.
Like a 35, 36-year-old. 3, actually. Theo Ratliff, who won like 10 blocking
I don't even know who that is.
Aaron McKee. Do you know who Aaron McKee is?
He sounds white.
He's black.
Oh.
Real black. So he's not white. But that team was horrible. And there are 2 things that come to mind when I think AI. I think that step back jumper in the corner in Game 1 when they won in LA, stepping over Tyronn Lue, vintage AI.
So awesome.
Best crossover ever.
How is Tyronn Lue still not a coach? He's been like thrown out there so many times.
Is he still Doc's assistant, or did he move this offseason?
I think he's still Doc's assistant.
Did he? No, I don't know. Maybe. But he will get a head coaching job sometime in the next few years for sure. But so that setback and then practice.
Well, yeah, everybody talks about practice.
Those 2 are my fondest AI moments, but if you want to look at it from
better run to the finals with no team.
Nash never made a final.
No, he never did.
And
he was a product of a system, largely a product of a system.
He was a top 10 for sure point guard with the Mavs. Made a couple, I think 1 or 2 All-Star teams. He was definitely above average, very good point guard.
D'Antoni transformed his game.
If you want to talk, the Lakers made the decision to bring in D'Antoni because of Nash.
Yeah,
solely because of Nash,
and they couldn't
and they could have had Phil.
They didn't have the tools. Dwight Howard cannot play in a D'Antoni system.
Dwight would have thrived in the triangle, playing with Powell and Kobe. Thrived. So
before we turn this into Matt's therapy,
I don't want to talk about the Lakers anymore. I can't do this right now because as long as Jim Buss's in charge, that franchise is going nowhere.
More impressive run. LeBron's first finals appearance against the Spurs or AI?
I'm going to say AI because they won. They won Game 1. And they beat a team in Game 1 that ended up 3-peating. But LeBron got swept. LeBron that game against Detroit where he scored was like 25 straight points.
That was so much fun to watch.
It was a young LeBron, but like LeBron's always been this physically gifted freak. You're talking about
the second best player on that team was Larry Hughes.
Yeah, that's a problem. Zunis Ilgauskas, that's a problem.
Love the Big Z.
Love
him.
it.
Did you know, I was having this conversation the other night. Did you know he played, I completely forgot, he played his first season, he went with LeBron to Miami.
He did, yes. They
He
lost in the finals.
He started 50 games.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that
Completely forgot about
the
it.
one thing those big three have missed, really, well, is they're done, but in those part, they never had a center or a point guard. Never had a real center or a real point guard.
LeBron has never played, besides Big Z, he's never played with a center.
And, I mean, now, playing with hopefully a healthy Varejao. Tristan Thompson's not a legit center, but
Varejao can stay healthy.
He won't, but yeah, I was gonna say Tristan Thompson's probably gonna be playing majority of the minutes at center. But like when you play with a guy like LeBron, you don't necessarily need a big man just because he's so strong. Like,
yeah, it's always nice.
So good, and if you play him at your four, if you play him as your four, which Spoelstra did a lot with the Heat, that creates such a big mismatch on the other four that oftentimes the other team can't go with the traditional big. They just can't match up. So we're getting a little bit off topic now, but let's go. So the NBA GM survey came out this past week, and so every year the 30 NBA general managers make their predictions with like All-NBA first team, MVP, NBA finals. So with the NBA season beginning on Tuesday night, let's give some of our predictions for standings, champions, and some MVP awards. So, what do you want to do, individual or team first?
Let's do team first. It pains me to say it as a Knicks fan. This is supposed to be the Knicks revival under Phil. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. Too many good teams in the East. Matt disagrees with me that the East is good. The East might not be. It's obviously not as good as the West, but the East is good.
Better.
Where you have the Bulls and the Cavs, much improved. The Bobcats, Hornets, now Hornets.
Love the Hornets and the Wiz this year.
Hornets and Wiz. Bradley Beal's out. If Bradley Beal can play a majority of the games, that's a lights out team. The Nets are going to be better with Lionel Hollins. People forget about that. Mm-hmm. The Heat are still going to make the playoffs. They're still the Heat.
Absolutely, 100%.
Wade and Bosch. So
I think Bosch is going to post monsters. I think he's going to be back to 2010 Bosch that we saw in Toronto.
I agree. That's what 6 or 7 teams right there.
What was it? So let's count.
And the Hawks are always.
Let's count. Let's count. Look, all right. So you have the Cavs, Bulls, locks.
Hornets lock.
Hornets, I think, yeah. I think
Wizards
are a lock.
Heat are a lock. Dwayne Wade's not going to miss the playoffs.
Absolutely, positively.
The Nets are all but.
With Lopez back, yeah, it would be hard. It would be. I would not. I would be pretty surprised if
Toronto. Toronto's a great team.
I think they're going to regress, but
they'll make the playoffs.
I think Dwayne Casey. Yeah, Dwayne Casey. I think he's a horrible coach, but we're missing one or two teams I really like. Really liking me. The Hawks don't go away. That's just, when they have Al Horford, they just don't go away. Jeff Teague and Al Horford and Palm, they stole Paul Millsap last offseason.
Interesting team. I want to know your take.
The Hawks,
Detroit.
That was the team that I was forgetting about.
Stan Van,
I think is going to definitely help. I think to me, I mean, they have a great front court, but like they need to get rid between.
I got to trade Josh Smith.
I think they're gonna end up trading him and expiring in Greg Monroe. That's more realistic because Josh Smith. I think he signed 4-year, $48 million before last season.
Andre Drummond tore apart the FIBA.
Andre Drummond is gonna be. There's a good chance he's gonna. I think not this year, but like in the next 2 years, I think there's a good shot that he's gonna become the best center in the league.
I wouldn't put it past him.
He's a freak
talent.
Insane. I mean, he averaged 13 and 13. I think
Stan Van is gonna do what
he's gonna make him to Superman.
He's gonna make him Dwight.
There's a very good. I mean, his offensive. Dwight Howard's offensive game still is very bad. But I mean, if Drummond can just even get something, I mean, all he can really do right now is dunks and put back. Very similar to like a
Brandon Jennings is also much better than people.
Brandon Jennings, great point guard. I think to me, Jody Meeks was a very, very nice piece for them because
veteran who could get to the hoop.
They need shooting. He's very underratedly one of the best shooters in the league. Great. He scored 50. Was it 50 against OKC last year with the Lakers?
They have like role players like Kyle Singler. Kyle Singler is pretty good.
I mean,
that's a solid team.
And they're bringing Monroe off the bench, which makes more sense.
They should bring Josh Smith off the bench, which they won't. At least
those three can't play with each other, so at least bringing one of them off the bench makes a ton of sense. But I think they've definitely
struck out in the draft last year with Cantavius Caldwell-Pope. That guy's not really a pro.
He's still young, so maybe he can be a good bench guy. You never know. So was that 7 teams or 8 teams? We have.
I think that's 8, and we haven't even spoke about the Knicks.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you, I had this realization the other day. the East is much improved. Where even you have a few horrible teams. With the Celtics, Sixers, Pacers are going to be bad.
Oh, this pitch is a zero shot to playoffs.
So
Bucks.
Hawks might be okay.
No, Bucks.
Oh, Bucks. Yeah. The Bucks. Jabari's still going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm a Duke guy, so I love Jabari, but
they're not going to make the playoffs, but they'll be fun.
This is a completely different thing. The Duke's going to win the national title this year.
Well, we'll talk about that in a few weeks.
Going back to NBA. I think was that 7 or 8. Regardless, I don't know.
It's a crowded East.
So Knicks fans need to understand, and I think a lot of them do, that this feels. This is going to take a few years. Phil has a plan. He's made some nice deals so far. I think that the Tyson Chandler team I think that really helped both sides.
Calderon's a very underrated player.
But he can't play defense.
No, at all.
I think they're going to be competitive this year.
Competitive.
I'm gonna say they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not high on the Nets. I'm not high on the Hawks. I think the Raptors are going to. I would pick the Knicks over the Raptors, in my opinion.
Really?
That's my. If
Lowry and DeRozan are one of the best backcourts in the league.
I think they both overachieved last year. Lowry was in a contract year, very injury prone. DeRozan, I think. DeRozan to me is like a cap almost. Like he's not going to get better than what he was last year. And I don't know if he's going to replicate what he did last year, but. Aside from those two, it's a very, very weak team, in my opinion. But so, I think the Knicks do have a shot. I mean, you're a Knicks fan, so
I'm a Knicks fan, and I'm hoping for the best. But
it's when they have that, they're going to be trade. They're going to trade him. They're going to trade a Bargnine and Steinmeier's expirings. They should.
Bill Simmons projects.
He wants that Rajon Rondo.
He's a Celtics fan, but he said Rondo, Gerald Wallace, and a pick swap. For Stoudemire, Shumpert, and a first-round pick.
I think they can get more for that. I think there's anything like a Sacramento or something that's going to give them blow them. I think they're going to give them a ton.
Different question: if the Knicks get Rondo, do they make the playoffs? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. No doubt about that. I mean, assuming that he doesn't get hurt again.
But he's also not really a triangle point guard. That's the other thing.
The triangle's never had a point guard.
Yeah, I mean,
even with the Bulls, they just have never had a point guard.
Yeah,
he doesn't need a point.
That's the problem.
You need one or two very good bigs who are willing to pass the ball. You need one alpha. You need one alpha dog, and you don't need a point guard though. You don't. You need one. The main two things: you need one out. You need one scorer who can get you buckets, and you need big men who can pass.
I think we should have a weekly segment. What did J.R. Smith say this week? And in the least surprising news of all time, he said that
he wants to be a leader.
Well, he said that he wants to be a leader, but he said that the triangle is confusing. Is anybody surprised that J.R. Smith thinks anything is confusing?
No. Not at all. It's going to be fun to see him playing the triangle this year. It's going to be really fun.
Over under 7 passes from Melo, where J.R. is just not where he's supposed to be.
Over. Every game.
Yep.
Every game. So let's go to the West. Then we're going to give our Western Conference prediction. Let's go to the West, and we're going to give our individual predictions. Then we're going to talk a little bit college football and give you some scores from the day. We have just over 10 minutes on the SBS Report, the Cornell Sports Business Society's new radio show. Mo and I are live from the Oldman Cornelius Studios in College Town, in our awesome new studios. So let's go to the West right now. Let's go to the Locks, the Spurs.
The Spurs have a chance to win the title every year until
100%. They're my team. They're the Spurs, the Clips.
Spurs, Clips, Warriors, Blazers.
I like the Blazers a lot. Blazers. That's 4. What do we got?
Mavericks.
The Mavs are going to me. The Mavs can really contend in the West this year.
Rockets are going to be bad, but they'll make the playoffs.
We'll talk about that in a sec. Okay, so I think the Mavs. The one thing about the Mavs is that they match up extremely well against San Antonio.
But is Chandler Parsons good? I don't know.
I think he fits in really nicely with them. With that, they're a pretty old team, and he's pretty much he's playing the Vince Carter role, but he's much better than what Vince Carter was for them last year. I love Vince Carter too, but I think Chandler Parsons he's gonna be a very, very good fit. So the Mavs, that's 5. You say Houston, but
I think a team James Harden and Dwight Howard has to make the playoffs.
Dwight Howard's not a good team player. He's not the same guy he was in Orlando. James Harden cannot play defense. That's a problem. In the West, that's
Kevin
a problem.
McHale is probably a good coach, though.
No.
I think he probably is.
What makes you think that though?
I don't know. This team competes all the time, and to get Dwight Howard to compete at all is a hard thing to do. And James Harden also. I don't know. I love Patrick Beverley. He's the league villain. Everybody hates him.
Right.
He plays aggressive D.
Right.
He can cover anybody. He's going to cover the point guard.
Yeah.
And
but it's the same. They lost Lynn. They lost Parsons. They were thin last year. They're even thinner this year. They have no bench at all. No bench at all. I like Terrence Jones. I do. I think he's a solid. I think he's an underrated. I think he's a solid power forward. Like on a team that doesn't need a star power forward.
Great.
I really like Terrence Jones as their power forward. Patrick Beverley's he's. I think he's a solid point guard. Can't do a lot on offense, but great defender. James Harden. Who's like the three? Oh, Trevor Ariza, who they overpaid.
I love Trevor Ariza.
Ariza has his best 2 years of his career have been in contract years. He plays well in contract. He just doesn't care.
But he's also great. What?
Okay,
He's the perfect role player.
Can you name their bench?
No. To be honest,
they have no bench.
But with that said, they can't miss the playoffs.
I think they will. Because we had 16 before Houston. Memphis, that to me, is a lock.
Memphis is a lock. We forgot about
When
Memphis.
we have Zebo, Gasol, and Conley. I think this might be Gasol's last year, but I think he really likes playing there, so I wouldn't be so shocked if he ends up re-signing or signs an extension.
Phoenix got better.
Phoenix is close to. I mean, they missed the playoffs last year barely, but
and then they got Isaiah.
They lost.
Play 3-point guards.
They lost Bledsoe for a great chunk of the year. If Bledsoe can stay healthy, I think with an addition of Isaiah Thomas, and they locked up the Morris brothers. They're a good team. I feel like we're missing someone.
New Orleans.
I love the Pelicans this year.
Anthony Davis is.
I'm gonna say something. What is that 8 is that 8 without the Rockets?
8.
Are we missing anybody?
I think that's 8 with the Rockets.
So the Jazz stink. The Lakers stink.
Nuggets stink.
Nuggets stink. Are we missing anybody else? We didn't say OKC.
Yeah, we did.
We didn't say OKC.
Oh well, there's no way they missed the playoffs.
I think they will make. If you were to put his guns man, I would say they would make the playoffs. But between so now we have 6 teams locks.
And then we're rotating between the Pelicans, Suns, and Rockets.
Yes.
Fighting for the bottom 3 spots.
Yeah. I want to say Falcons and Suns. I think the Falcons are a good team.
I think entertainment-wise, that would be the best.
Asik, Anderson, Davis, Eric Gordon, a healthy Drew Holiday.
It's a fun team.
That's a good team.
Monty Williams not a good coach, though.
No, he's not. But I think we're missing some players. But I mean, that's a good team. Anthony Davis is only against
Austin Rivers actually going to play.
Austin Rivers is something else. That's a
Duke.
Very, very good team. Very good team.
Anthony Davis is the 3rd best player in basketball.
So we'll see where that goes. Let's give our individual predictions real quick and talk some college football for a couple minutes. So individual predictions, MVP. Is this discussion?
It's LeBron unless Rose beats him.
I like Rose, but I don't think he's the same player that he was. I think it's going to take him. I need to see a full year of a healthy D Rose.
I agree. So it's LeBron.
It's LeBron.
Defensive player of the year is either Gasol or Davis.
I love Anthony Davis.
Who
won it last year?
Didn't Gasol win?
It was Noah.
Oh, it was Noah.
Joking.
Noah can win, but he's a talented defender, but he's mostly just a crazy guy.
Oh, insane.
That's why he does all this.
Insane. Yeah, you never know with defensive player of the year.
Comeback player of the year is going to be Rose.
Rose should be. I think last most improved. Give me a young player or something like coming off injury or something.
Andre Drummond.
I think last year was his real most improved kind of season.
Yeah, but now he has the confidence. He played with the Nationals.
They generally don't give it to guys who are already good and then become great. They like to give it to guys who stink or just very young. Freak. I like that one. I think he's a little overrated just because he's
He's a 7-foot point guard.
Yeah, he's a
7-foot point guard.
He was 6'7" last year. Now he's 6'10", 6'11".
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
He's gonna win most improved.
He's a good name.
Rookie of the year.
Most improved. Oh, rookie of the year. It's Jabari. There's no question about that.
Bill Simmons thinks Alfred Payton.
No. Well, where is he? Orlando. You know, who's gonna be a good player? You think I think he's gonna be had Carlos Boozer not signed with the Lakers, I think Julius Randle would put up very solid numbers this year. I think he would average 12 and 8.
I like Julius Randle a lot.
I like him a lot. I think he's. Aside
he's the most pro ready
Aside from Jabari.
Yeah.
He was the second most priority player.
Well, Jabari's going to average 23 and be great.
No, but he'll definitely average like 6, 17, 18 points per game this year. I think he's going to struggle a little bit.
All the shots on their team. All the shots.
We'll see. So, that's it with our individual. Let's talk college for a couple of minutes. This is the SBS Report, the Cornell Sports Business Society's new radio show. I'm gonna say we're a new radio show throughout the semester. It's not going to change. Definitely not going to change.
That's fair.
So, college football, not too crazy of a week.
Ohio State almost lost.
That was
escaped.
They nearly blew a game against rival Penn State in Happy Valley. Ole Miss, not a crazy. The clock management down the stretch was.
Did you watch? Oh, I forgot it. We didn't mention that. What was Hugh Freeze doing?
I don't think it was Hugh Freeze. I think it was Bo Wallace. Bo Wallace just goofed. And
but why didn't they kick the field goal?
I don't know. Maybe they went for the shot. Maybe they wanted to get closer.
You gotta blame Hugh Freeze there. Yeah, Bo Wallace played terribly down the stretch, but that was astonishing.
Yeah, I mean, there's such a LSU Les Miles kind of win though.
And I mean, how much do you not trust your kicker? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so Ole Miss is done. I think they have a big game next week against Auburn, which I think they're going to lose because the offense just isn't great. Their defense is phenomenal.
My bold prediction is whoever wins, no matter what happens in the SEC championship, whatever, 2 of the 4 playoff spots go to the winners of the Egg Bowl and the Iron Bowl. It's
very possible.
Ole Miss versus Mississippi State and Auburn.
I think Ole Miss is going to lose next week at Auburn. If they do, your two-team probably is not going. A 2-loss team is probably not going to make it. But Mississippi State.
It's so exciting that everybody's down now.
Yes, we don't know. Maybe who's the SEC. Well, maybe it's Georgia ends up going to the SEC title game. We don't know.
Georgia, that would.
If they get Gurley back.
Mark Richt is not a good coach though.
Yeah, I think he's solid. I mean, they've yet no quarterback production this season ever since Aaron Murray left. So, Gurley and Chubb. I mean, if they get Gurley, Chubb's been awesome. But if they get Gurley back, I mean, they're just going to run it down to your throat. So you never know.
Who's going to win the Heisman?
Right now, Prescott's probably the favorite.
Yeah, but I think Prescott's going to lose.
He's hurt.
And I think Mariota is going to win.
He threw his first pick. That's insane.
What?
He threw his first pick last week.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I mean, another name that I think should get more, Amari Cooper.
They
would not be. He's
better than Julio.
He's put up ridiculous stuff. And Lane Kiffin pretty much says when in doubt, chuck it to Cooper. It
was such a troll move by Kiffin, first play of the game, to go long to Cooper to silence the Tennessee crowd.
Go to Cooper. He's a freak. I don't think he's as talented as Julio. I don't think he's going to be he's not going to be a top 5 pick. I think was Julio top 5, top 10.
Julio went
5th or 6th. Okay, I don't think he's as talented as AJ and Julio. I mean, yeah, AJ and Julio, but he's definitely a first round. He's definitely probably a top 20.
Wait, also, can we talk about? It's unbelievable to me this season more than any how big of an effect an injured receiver has on teams.
Yeah,
the Lions' offense is not the same without Calvin, and the Bengals can barely move the ball without AJ Green.
Yeah, I mean Golden Tate's been sick for them.
Yeah.
But, so let's. Last minute, let's give our predictions for college football. Let's wrap up with the winners of the 4 o'clock games, and that's what we're going to have to finish off the show today. So, Noah, give me your 4 college football playoff predictions as of today.
Mississippi State.
Yes.
Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon.
Yes.
And the winner of the Big Ten, either Michigan State or Ohio State.
We're missing a team. Mississippi State for sure. Who's right behind Mississippi State?
Oh, Florida State.
Florida State's
not going to do it. They're going to lose to Duke in the ACC championship game.
No. Florida State's losing this week. Thursday night in Louisville.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. Bobby Petrino's big welcome home.
They're losing. If it's either going to be this or whoever they play next.
They're holding on by a thread.
They're not as good as they were last year.
Team to watch if Notre Dame blows out everybody the rest of the way.
That's a good. Yeah, that's very.
They have to win convincingly though.
Yes,
they can't have another.
They have a good shot. They have a good shot for sure. Michigan State looked really good last year, and their only win was that one game in Oregon. So you have to think Michigan State, if they run the table and win the Big Ten title, you got to think they're up there. Oregon has a good shot. I think they will run the table the rest of the way. Alabama.
The Pac-12 just sort of fell out from under
SC,
them.
you just don't know. But I think those 4 are pretty solid. I think Oregon, Alabama, Mississippi State, Florida State.
I want Mississippi State. I just think it would be really cool.
I think right now those are the 4. So let's give you guys an update on the 4 o'clock game.
Roethlisberger threw for 522 yards.
6 TDs.
Unbelievable.
6
When was the last
touchdown.
time the Steelers put up 50
His
points?
second career 500 touchdown game. Second career 500-yard game.
And that's
So,
a Colts D that had been killing it the past few weeks.
the other 4 o'clock games, you got, okay, so the Steelers topped the Colts 51-34 in a shootout. Cardinals topped the Eagles at 24-20. They're now 6-1. Who was the last game? The Raiders and Browns. I can't even find that score. The Browns beat the Raiders 23-13. Sunday Night Football, we got Saints, Packers in the Superdome. Monday Night Football, Cowboys, Redskins, Cowboys in a blowout. Mark
Nope,
Murray.
Colt McCoy's going to take him out.
No chance. That's all we have for you this week on the SBS Report. Unnecessary Roughness is coming up next. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back and better than ever next week. For Noah Tannenbaum, I'm Matt Hakimian. Have an awesome week ahead, guys.
Thanks.